1952. A Tuesday morning in a small house in Des Moines, Iowa. 7:15. A woman has already been awake for 90 minutes. The bed is made. The breakfast dishes are washed, dried, and back in the cupboard. The kitchen floor has been swept. The front room has been straightened. The children are dressed and out the door. She is standing at the kitchen sink with a cup of coffee, and the house behind her is spotless. Not clean the way a house is clean after a Saturday scrubbing. Clean the way a house is clean when it is never allowed to get dirty. There is a difference between those two things, and she understands it completely. She has never once in her adult life come home to a messy house. Not because she cleans more than anyone else, because she follows rules that prevent the mess from forming in the first place. These are 15 housekeeping rules that were standard practice in American homes for the better part of the 20th century. Not cleaning tips, not hacks, rules. The kind that do not require motivation or a mood board. The kind that run on their own once they are set in place. Every one of them worked. Every one costs nothing. And every one was replaced, not by something better, but by the idea that keeping a house was optional and flexible, and entirely up to how you felt that morning. That idea has produced a generation of people who spend their weekends cleaning what a system would have prevented. Now, before we dive in, tap that subscribe button. You will not want to miss what is coming next. Number 15. The bed made before anything else. The rule that set the tone for the entire day. She did not get out of bed and start the coffee while the sheets were still warm and tangled. She got out of bed and she made it. Before the coffee. Before the bathroom. Pillows straight. Coverlet pulled smooth. The bedroom door could be left open and nothing in it would embarrass her. The made bed is not about the bed. It is about the signal it sends to the rest of the house and to the woman who lives in it. A made bed tells the room it has been claimed for the day. It establishes that this space is under management, that the day has begun correctly. The bedroom with the made bed looks tidy regardless of what else is in it. The bedroom with the unmade bed looks disordered regardless of how clean everything else is. She knew this the way she knew to start the stove before she needed it, because preparation is what makes everything that follows possible. Modern productivity research has identified bed making as one of the highest leveraged daily habits. They published studies about it. She had been doing it since 1935 without needing one. Number 14. Nothing set down without a permanent home. She did not set things down randomly. Every object in her house had a place, and it went back to that place the moment she was done with it. The scissors in the sewing basket, the library book on the end table, the letter in the correspondence drawer, every time, without thinking, because not thinking about it was the point. A cluttered surface is not the result of too many objects. It is the result of objects without homes. An object without a home gets set down wherever the hand releases it, and it stays there, attracting other homeless objects, until the surface beneath it disappears entirely. She had no homeless objects. When something new came into the house, a package, a gift, a purchase, she assigned it a place before she put it down for the first time. The assignment was permanent. The object always went back. The surfaces stayed clear. She never had to declutter because she never allowed clutter to form. Prevention and remediation are not the same skill. She practiced prevention. She never needed remediation. Number 13. The kitchen cleaned in sequence after every meal, and the sequence never varied. After every meal, breakfast, the midday dinner, supper, the kitchen was cleaned in exactly the same order. Leftover food dealt with first, table cleared, dishes scraped and stacked, wash water heated. Dishes washed in order, glasses first while the water was cleanest and hottest, then plates, then bowls, then pots and pans last. Dried immediately, never left to drain. Returned to their places in the cupboard. Table wiped, stovetop wiped. Counters cleared and wiped. Floors swept if necessary. Done. When cleaning follows the same order every time, it becomes automatic. The hands know what comes next without the mind deciding. Decision fatigue is real and documented. She eliminated the choices from kitchen cleanup by making them once and never making them again. The kitchen was cleaned 3 times a day without her thinking about it once. Number 12. Dishes washed immediately. The sink never left full overnight. The dish was washed when the meal was finished, not when she felt like it, not before bed, not in the morning. When the meal was finished, a cup of tea was rinsed and placed on the draining board before she sat back down. A breakfast plate was washed before she put on her coat to go to the store. The pot the soup came out of was cleaned while the family ate. The sink was never full. It was never left full overnight. Not once, not ever. A sink full of dishes is not a cleaning problem. It is a morale problem. It is the first thing seen in the morning, and it tells everyone in the house that yesterday's tasks are still waiting, and today must begin in debt. She refused this. The kitchen started every day clean because it ended every night clean. There was no other acceptable condition. A single dish is washed in 40 seconds. A full sink is a project. She never allowed the single dish to become the full sink. She washed it and went about her life. Number 11. The morning circuit. 1 room at a time before 10 o'clock. After the breakfast dishes and before the day's main work, she moved through the house in a fixed circuit. 20 minutes every room. Bedroom. Bed made, surfaces cleared. Bathroom. Basin wiped, towels straight. Front room. Cushions set, surfaces cleared. Kitchen. Already clean from breakfast. Not a deep clean, a maintenance check. A daily hand laid on every room to address small disorder before it had a day to grow. The circuit took the same path every morning. She started at the same room and ended at the same room. This was not superstition, it was efficiency. A fixed path means no room is forgotten and no decision is made about where to go next. The mind is free to be elsewhere, planning the day's meals, thinking through a letter she needed to write, simply being, while the hands and the feet do the circuit that has been done 1,000 times before. By 10 o'clock, the house was in order. Whatever the day brought after that, the house was already set and would not deteriorate significantly in a single day. The circuit made 10 o'clock a reliable condition. Number 10. The front of the house always guest ready. The parlor and the entryway were held to a standard the rest of the house was not required to meet at every moment. The kitchen could have the jam making out. The back porch could have the mending stacked. But the front room, the room a visitor would see from the moment the door opened, was always ready. No exceptions. This was not vanity. It was hospitality held in advance. A neighbor might knock at any hour. The minister might stop by after calls. A relative might appear unannounced in the way that people appeared unannounced when there were no telephones to warn each other. She was always ready to open the door without embarrassment because she maintained the front of the house to a standard that required no additional preparation before the door was opened. The back of the house was where she worked and lived. The front was where she received the world. A house where every room is always at the same level of perfection requires an impossible amount of effort. A house where 2 rooms are always ready and the rest are managed is sustainable indefinitely. She was always sustainable. Number 9. Laundry started on the same day every week, without negotiation. Monday was wash day. Not approximately Monday. Not Monday unless something came up. Monday. The laundry did not pile because it was addressed before it could pile. A week's worth of laundry for a family of 4 is a manageable load. 2 weeks' worth is an emergency. 3 weeks' worth is a crisis that takes an entire Saturday to resolve and leaves everyone exhausted and resentful. She never had 3 weeks' worth of laundry because she never let Monday pass without starting the wash. The fixed day organized everything else in the week. Tuesday was ironing because Monday was washing. The linen closet was restocked midweek because the laundry was done by Monday evening. The rhythm of the household ran on this schedule the way a machine runs on a belt, everything connected, everything in sequence. The decision had been made permanently once. Monday was wash day. It ran itself. Number 8. Every surface cleared before bed, nothing left out that did not belong. The last hour before bed included a pass through the house that returned every displaced object to its home. The book left on the kitchen table went back to the reading chair. The sewing left on the sofa went back to the basket. The shoes left by the back door went to the closet. The newspaper left on the ottoman went to the kindling box or the trash. Nothing that had migrated during the day was allowed to stay overnight in the wrong place. This rule cost her 10 minutes at the end of the day and bought her a clean house every morning. The morning is the most important time of day in a household with children and a schedule. A morning that begins in a disordered house is a morning that begins at a deficit. Energy spent on orientation and recovery rather than on the day ahead. She protected her mornings by closing her evenings correctly. The 10 minutes before bed was an investment in the following morning's clarity and calm. The objects put away every night were also the objects that could be found the next day. She never spent 20 minutes looking for the scissors. The house ran smoothly because the objects that ran the house were always where they were supposed to be. Number 7. Children with assigned tasks by age 5, the house running on distributed labor. A 5-year-old could set the table. A 7-year-old could clear it and dry the dishes. A 9-year-old could sweep the kitchen floor and fold the clean laundry. An 11-year-old could help with the ironing and start a simple supper. The tasks grew with the child, and by the time a girl was 14, she could run the house entirely in her mother's absence, because she had been learning it piece by piece for 9 years. The house did not run on one woman's back. It ran on the distributed labor of everyone who lived in it, each contributing at the level appropriate to their age and ability, each learning through doing the skills they would need when they had a house of their own. The work was not presented as a burden. It was presented as participation, as the natural contribution of everyone who benefited from the house being clean and the meals being made. She did not clean up after her children because her children cleaned up after themselves consistently, because the expectation was consistent, and after a few years the habit was so ingrained the question of whether to do it did not arise. The house ran because everyone in it ran it. Number 6. The threshold rule. Dirt stopped at the door before it entered the house. The front step was swept every morning. The back doormat was shaken every morning. Shoes were wiped thoroughly on the mat before entry. A practical calculation. Dirt brought in on shoes creates a cleaning problem that takes an hour to resolve. Dirt stopped at the threshold creates no problem at all. She knew where the dirt came from because she had watched it come in. A kitchen floor that was swept in the morning and then tracked through by 3 children and a husband arriving home from work needed sweeping again by supper. A kitchen floor swept in the morning and protected by a mat and the expectation that muddy shoes stayed outside needed sweeping once. She preferred once. The step and the mat were the first line of defense. A broom and 30 seconds every morning. 30 seconds at the door versus 60 minutes in the house. She was not sentimental about dirt. She was efficient about it. Number 5. Nothing repaired tomorrow that could be fixed today. The loose button was sewn back on the same evening it came loose. Before the button was lost, before the shirt became unwearable. The dripping tap was addressed that weekend, not allowed to drip for a month until it required a plumber. The fraying hem caught before it unraveled. The small crack in the window putty-filled before the draft became a winter problem. Small problems are cheap. Large problems are expensive. The entire domestic economy of the 1950s household ran on the understanding that maintenance costs less than repair, that repair costs less than replacement, and that the time to address something is the moment it presents itself, not the moment it becomes unavoidable. She could not afford to let small problems become large ones. The budget did not allow it. So she developed the habit of addressing things immediately, and the house rewarded her with fewer large problems than houses where small things were left to develop. She kept a small notebook in the kitchen drawer, a reminder, not a deferral. Everything in it was addressed within the week, most things the same day. Number 4. Shopping from a list, and nothing entering the house without a home. She did not go to the store without a list, written before she left, organized by section of the store. She bought what was on the list, and before anything was put away it had a designated place, a cupboard shelf, a drawer, the icebox, and it went there. Nothing entered the house without a destination, because objects without destinations become clutter. A jar of jam bought on impulse that does not fit in the jam shelf sits on the counter. A second identical spatula bought because she could not remember if she had one sits in the drawer on top of the first one until neither can be found. She bought what she needed, what she had space for, and what had a home waiting for it. The kitchen stayed organized because everything in it had been thought about before it entered. The list governed the budget. The discipline of the list was the discipline of the budget was the discipline of the kitchen. The same discipline, 3 different rooms. Number 3. The linen closet folded to a standard, everything accessible without digging. Sheets were folded in a specific way that allowed them to be stored as a set. The fitted sheet and the flat sheet and the pillowcases folded together and placed as a unit on the shelf so that the next time the bed needed changing, one pull produced everything required. Towels were folded to the same width and stacked with the folded edge facing out so that the stack looked neat from the door, and any towel could be removed from the top without disturbing the ones beneath. The linen closet was organized by type and by size, the items used most frequently at the most accessible height. She could put her hand on any item in that closet in the dark. She did not need to look. She did not need to pull everything out to find what she was looking for. The organization was so complete and so consistent that the closet functioned like a filing system. Every item cataloged, every item retrievable, every item returned to its precise position after use. The linen closet is the room that most reveals the household system behind it. She had thought it through once, early in her marriage, and maintained it ever after. It never needed reorganizing because it was never allowed to become disorganized. Number 2. Windows opened every morning. Fresh air through every room without exception. Every morning, regardless of season, she opened the windows. In summer, they stayed open all day. In winter, they were opened for 20 minutes, enough to move the air through the room to carry out the overnight accumulation of breath and warmth and the particular staleness that closed rooms developed by morning, and then closed again before the room lost its heat. In spring and autumn, they stayed open as long as the temperature allowed. Fresh air is not a modern wellness concept. It was a practical housekeeping requirement. A room that breathes smells clean. A room that does not breathe accumulates odors from cooking, from bodies, from fabric, from the slow oxidation of surfaces that produces the unmistakable smell of a closed house. She opened the windows because a house that smells clean is a clean house, regardless of what else is true about it. And a house that smells of stale air is a problem, regardless of how recently the floors were washed. The daily airing reduced moisture in bedrooms. Moisture exhaled through the night that, trapped in a closed room, settles into mattresses and eventually produces the damp and mildew far harder to address than 20 minutes of cold air would have prevented. She opened the windows. The house breathed. That was the smell of clean. Number 1. The 30-minute reset before bed, so that tomorrow started before today ended. The last 30 minutes before she turned out the lights was spent on the house, not cleaning it, resetting it. The dishes from supper long done, the kitchen already wiped, she moved through the rooms returning the day's displacement to order. Objects back to their homes, cushions straightened, throws folded, the table cleared of the evening's accumulated papers and cups, tomorrow's first tasks already set in place, the breakfast table laid, the coffee things ready, the children's school things by the door. She was not cleaning for today, she was preparing for tomorrow. The woman who woke up to a reset house was calmer, faster, more capable from the first moment of the day. She did not spend the first hour recovering from the previous evening. She spent it moving forward. 30 minutes, every single night. The house that greeted her in the morning was the house she had arranged for herself the night before. A small act of kindness across time, from the woman she was at 11 o'clock to the woman she would be at 6. She did not think of it in those terms. She thought of it as finishing the day correctly, the way a sentence is finished with a period. But the effect was the same. The morning was always ready. The house was always in order. And the woman who lived in it was never overwhelmed, because she had built a system that made being overwhelmed structurally impossible. 15 rules. Not one of them required a cleaning product, an organizing system from a lifestyle brand, or a weekend set aside for a deep clean. They required consistency, sequence, and the understanding that a house is not cleaned, it is maintained. And maintenance is not a mood or a motivation. It is a decision made once and practiced until it runs entirely on its own. These women did not have cleaner houses because they had more time. They had more time because they had cleaner houses. Every rule on this list, once followed consistently for a month, required no further decision-making. The house simply ran. The woman who ran it had her mornings free by 10 and her evenings quiet by 9. Somewhere tonight, a woman is spending her Saturday cleaning what a system would have prevented. The answer is not a better cleaning product or a longer Saturday. The answer is 15 rules, followed every day, until they run on their own. If you want more forgotten wisdom from the generations who came before us, the next video is waiting for you right now.